All right, everyone, buckle up because today we're doing a deep dive into something pretty cool, mastering Spanish pronunciation, and specifically on Pronunciator.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. So for those of you who, are just starting out on your Spanish language learning journey using Pronunciator, this one's for you. We're right there with you. And we know that sometimes pronunciation can feel like, well, a bit of a mountain to climb,
Absolutely. It can be the most challenging and intimidating part of learning any new language, but especially Spanish.
Especially Spanish,
Yeah.
definitely. But it's also the key to really unlocking, I think, the beauty of the language and really, being able to communicate effectively. What do you think?
100%. I always tell my students, if you want to speak Spanish well, you need to nail the pronunciation.
You've got to nail it.
Yeah.
So true. So we've got some really great insights to share from our own experiences and from what we've learned along the way. So let's dive right in. Where should we start? What about those little marks above some of the vowels? The accent marks.
Oh, those are key. In Spanish, those are called tildes, and they're not just there for decoration.
Right. They're not just like a stylistic choice.
Exactly. They tell you how to pronounce the vowel and can even change the meaning of the word entirely.
That's a good point.
Yeah, take the word papa, for example. With no accent, it means potato. But put a tilde over that last A, and boom, you've got papa, which means father.
Okay, that's a pretty big difference. Pass the papa or pass the papa. Yeah, I see your point.
Exactly. So those little marks, they're your friends.
Pay attention to them, learn them, love them. Okay, so accents, we've got that covered.
Right.
What about the rolling R's? That's a big one, right?
It's the holy grail of Spanish pronunciation. It's the one sound that everyone wants to master, and it can be tricky at first, no doubt, but it's totally doable. Like anything else, it just takes practice.
Do you have any quick tips or tricks that you use to help people kind of get that rolling sound down?
One thing I tell my students is to think of the D sound in the word ladder.
Oh, ladder. Okay.
Right. Practice transitioning from ladder to a rolled R. It's all about the tongue placement.
That makes so much sense. Okay, I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
So we've tackled accents. We've tackled the infamous rolled R. What about the B and the V? Because I'll be honest, they kind of sound the same to me in Spanish.
I hear you. It can be really tough to tell them apart, especially for English speakers.
Yes.
But here's the thing. They are pronounced differently depending on where they are in a word.
Really? Tell me more about that.
So generally speaking, B will have a harder sound at the beginning of a word or after an M or an N. Think about words like beber, to drink, or también also.
Garber. También. Okay.
But in other positions, like between vowels, the B and V are going to sound softer, almost identical.
It's so subtle.
It is super subtle. It's all about those nuances, and that's where a good language learning program can be so helpful.
Yes. Like Pronunciator. Right.
Exactly, because it's going to have exercises specifically designed to train your ear and your tongue to hear and produce these sounds correctly.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because it can feel really overwhelming, I think, especially when you're first starting out to differentiate those sounds. So to have something like an app where you can really target those specific sounds must be so helpful.
100%. It's all about those targeted exercises. And don't forget, immersing yourself in the language by watching movies or listening to music can help tremendously too.
Oh, that's a good point. Because you start to pick up those nuances, even if it's subconsciously.
Exactly.
It seeps in.
You're passively learning.
I love that. I love that. Well, this has been amazing.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today.
My pleasure.
And everyone listening, keep practicing, stay curious, and remember, every little step you take brings you closer to fluency. You've got this.